And welcome to this week's special live streaming episode of The Dental Guys. I'm Wes the Dental Guy.
And I'm John the Dental Guy. And I will tell you, Wes, it has been a while since a live stream. We lit it up during COVID for the live streams. And we kind of went back to our default mode, which is, doing the recording, releasing later. But I feel like we're kind of getting back into this mode of it's going to get exciting in the next, couple of months really with us. And so I think it's fitting to kind of kick it back off.
Yeah, I'm super excited about it. We've said this a couple times on the last couple of shows, and we've missed maybe a couple release dates. We've been pretty consistent over the last 7 years of broadcasting. Things are going to get more consistent as things in our personal lives and practice lives settle into more routine. You guys know, COVID throws in a wrench. John and I are all about work-life balance, and This is our passion. The things that revolve around our passions have been assessed, reassessed, and there's going to be more of Wes and John. That's one thing that John and I sit down and talked about is, we're good for each other. The reason why we started this conversation years ago, and we just have to say that it's been 10 years,
That's crazy.
Since, yeah. So this conversation started 10 years ago, and fitting, John, that it's going to really, come to a really just a celebration right this year with
it's coming back around.
A very special thing that's happening for us as a podcast, as from a standpoint of like just a career in dentistry. And John, we're going to go cover the Academy of Osseointegration. We're partnered with the Academy. We've been waiting for this for 2 years, right?
Yep.
And it's coming up. We're going to San Diego. It's going to be amazing. John, tell us a little bit about the venue, what we're expecting. And then today we're going to cover some interesting things. Hold tight.
Right.
Geeks Corner's coming, right? Here we go.
Yeah. Well, a couple of years ago, we talked about this, a partnership between the Dental Guys and the Academy of Osseointegration. Right as we were moving into the craziness of COVID, we were slated to speak at the Seattle meeting, the annual meeting back in 2020. And much like many of the meetings, it was canceled, which was the right thing to do. And, it was, of course, disappointing, but this is what we needed to do. So during the last couple of years, we put out a ton of content. We've worked together with AO, interviewing a few speakers. And then we come back to the 2022 AO annual meeting in San Diego, which, this is the first big meeting that feels legit, and I know other meetings have done kind of an online meeting, and that's fine. Like, good for them. That was 2021 for us. And part of 2020 was just online meetings were where it was at. Now we're starting to get back to in-person, which, if you go back into our archives, you're going to read and listen all about what we've said about the value of in-person education and what it does for us. And of course, the collaboration. And here we are coming back to the highest really level, we believe, of implant meetings, meaning we're going to get some of the best speakers in the world coming to this meeting out in San Diego. And we're going to be out there. The Dental Guys will be out there covering this meeting. We're going to have a pretty amazing time. And we've got, a premier location. We've got, as always, a premier, reception on the deck of an aircraft carrier. That's right. You heard it right. And we're going to have access to some of the best speakers in the world on dental implants, as well as some really exciting new product releases, which we're still waiting to hear about, because this is really the first time in a couple of years that we've seen this live product release with people there. So we are super excited. Of course, there's restrictions, right? Of course, there's going to be things that we can't do like we normally would do, but it's so much better than it was a year ago. We can talk to people. We can be face-to-face with people. It may be masked. It may be a little distanced, but you know what? I'll take it, Wes. How excited are you about this?
Dude, I'm ready, man. I'm ready for meetings, because I've been pushing, right? I've been pushing my practice. You guys know that have listened to our show. I'm building a building right now. I'm doubling square footage, going from 5 to 9 operatories and surgical suite and all this stuff, right? It's like, oh man, the last big course we took was Pat Allen, and we're ready to get back out at Spear. I got credits sitting there. You do too.
I know.
And it's going to happen, guys. We're all in, right? Dentistry, we're all in. Right, it's more of the same. I'm getting ready to go teach at Restorative Driven Implants in Minneapolis, John. I get to fill in for you here in a couple weeks, really, and teach the restorative course because you got some other things. But we're going to meet back up in the fall, and for another session of Restorative Driven Implants. Look, man, we're packing seats, right? Teaching implants.
People want to push their practice forward. Demand is super high. There are a ton of people that want high quality dentistry. And, it's interesting in our state, and we won't go too far into this, but people are moving, people are coming, people want great dentistry.
Yeah.
And I hope you're seeing that in your practices. I know it's been hard, but I feel a sense of excitement. I really do. And I don't just say that, but I feel a sense of we're coming, hopefully out of this to where we can have some excitement. But let's talk about this meeting, Wes, because this is a kickoff. And maybe I should say, let's not directly talk about, we've already kind of introed the meeting, but let's talk about implants a little bit, because at this meeting, we are going to have some names. We're going to have some people that we have been wanting to talk to, and I think we're going to get a chance to talk to. But let's talk about where we are right now. Have the implant companies taken 2 years off? No. All right. And maybe you in your practice have taken a year and a half off, quote unquote, of doing kind of what you've been doing. But the R&D people, they've not been hanging out. They've been pushing forward. So I think we need to talk a little bit about where we stand right now. Where do we stand with implant design? Where do we stand with some of the controversial things we've talked about in our podcast the last couple of years, namely implant design and surgical technique and placement? So Wes, talk a little bit about, let's kind of take the last maybe 5 years. That's a lot. The last 5 years of what we've talked about implant design and surgical placement. And let's talk about where are we now? And then maybe I'll come back and I'll talk a little bit about what are we thinking maybe we're going to be hearing from manufacturers at the AO. Wes, take it.
Yeah, so the last 5 years we solidified the idea that immediate implant placement was here to stay, right? I believe that's been the hallmark thing, that we're putting implants in when we're taking out teeth. Now, what comes with that is have we moved beyond, right, traditional implant placement, which is, take a tooth out, graft it, and do a healed ridge placement 3 to 6 months later? No, we haven't, right? We haven't moved beyond that, because that goes on in every practice that is placing implants today. But the hot ticket item, right, is doing an immediate implant. And what comes with immediates is some special things that are required to, one, maintain volume of bone. We know that immediate extraction, immediate implant placement, based on the research and the data, right? Good meta-analysis in JOMI. Look, this is why we go to the AO, right? I'm holding up the quintessence published, the International Journal of Oral Maxillofacial Implants. It can be found even today that immediate extraction, immediate placement is equal to in success rate, right, at as healed ridge implants. So the question then revolves around what is required to achieve immediate success. We know that implant stability, when you're doing an immediate, right, is key. We don't want spinners in sockets, right? Because we need stability. We need to gain stability from something, right?
Right.
And so, John, I feel like in the last 5 years, we've solidified that stability is necessary, right? Yep. And that's what we're going to kind of concentrate on today, is this stability thing, right? And I think that for the last, even 5 years, we've seen a little bit of a like uptick in this aggressive design from a standpoint of like, dude, deeper threads, right? Like pitch
Right.
and all the things that increase the amount of implant to quote unquote implant to bone to implant contact, or insertional torque value, right? That's the
Right.
word, ITV, right? The day that
Yep.
I put this implant, how tight is right? Right, John? I mean, like this
Yeah.
is the last 5 years. Is
Yep.
immediates have been solidified. What are we doing so that we can actually do that immediate?
Yeah, and that's the thing. We have talked about on this show numerous times, right? We gave you a several part review of zero bone loss concepts, right? So
Go back
if
and
you're
check
not
that
up
out.
on Linkovicius' book, you should go back and check out our episodes on that. We talked to the man himself, and the idea being that some current thinking is that a subcrestal high insertional torque or moderate insertional torque or even low insertional torque, but a subcrestal, very stable connection type of implant is the way to go.
Yeah.
And we can discuss whether ISQ or torque is most important. And then we also have the whole different thought process, which is kind of the thought process from years and years ago, which is we're going to use a low insertional torque. We're not going to really care so much about that. We're maybe going to look more at ISQ. And then there's a whole other discussion about this. Where do you put the implant, Wes? Right? So I think and we're going to get into that in a second. So what I want to hear from the experts at AO is what is the current true thought process on ISQ versus torque? What really matters, and how's that affecting implant design? Because we have seen some pretty significant big name manufacturers who never had a high insertional torque implant completely redesign their implants in the last 5 years to go from low insertional torque as a goal, or low to moderate, let's call it, to high insertional torque as a goal. Now, we could argue, is this a market-driven thing or is this a science-driven thing, right? Are we doing this because everyone else is doing it? Or are we doing this because there's data to back it up? Now, the dental guys can talk about it, and normally we would just talk about it for an hour. But we're going to have some people on much smarter than us here in a few weeks at AO who we're going to really try to engage and get them to answer that tough question. Does it really matter? Does it really matter? Is ISQ really the main thing? Is it really the torque? Does that really make a difference? And when does it make a difference? But I think, Wes, maybe the easier target is to talk about what's changing in design, right? Maybe 2 or 3 years ago, we talked about Thomas Albrechtsen. It was one of the last AOs we were at. The last Academy meetings we were at, Albrechtsen got up and made some real radical statements about what integration even is.
Yeah, John,
right?
is it
he talked
really
about rejection and acceptance and foreign body reaction and all of this stuff. And then we heard Tarnow get up and we heard him talk about the controversies of, okay, does a great connection placed subcrestally counteract all the effects of periimplantitis risk that we used to talk about? Or should we keep the micro gap a millimeter away from the bone or more with a polished collar so that we just don't take into account connection at all? Now, Wes, I mean, that is something that I think we still haven't really solved. I mean, we've seen some counterpoints at AO between some really, Dennis Flanagan was up there talking with Tarnow. I mean, we have had some really interesting conversations between, let's call it the polished collar crew.
Yeah.
Versus the deep conical connection mafia or crew. I mean, like who is right about this? What's the data? I mean, Wes, where do you think we're going with this? What do you think is going to happen?
I think interface design, not interface design. I'm talking about like surface technology. I've said this for years, John. It is the area of innovation, right? And people are trying. They're trying real hard. Nobel tried, we were at the AO, seems like, and we were just, seems like forever ago now, but I mean, like,
right.
Here they are introducing new surface technology. Where are we at with that, right? Where's Nobel at with that? right? Is, now we got Tomas talking like crazy about like, you need to keep polished collars above the bone in, polished collars don't go below bone. I mean, how many times does he say it in his book? And then on top of that, you got Tomas talking about polished zirconia, right? Not glazed zirconia against the soft tissue, right? We're talking about now we're moving to tie bases, right? What kind of, we got Dennis Tarnow even on our show talking about the type of milling that goes in to the surface and what is accepted by bone and is different than what is accepted in titanium in the soft tissue. To me, I want to see some surface technology, right?
Yep.
That is going to help us, because we still, again, last 5 years, John, we don't have a solution for peri-implantitis. We have zero today. Case in point, patient A. All right, here comes it is, right? Here it is, right here. I get excited because we deal with this stuff. If you're touching implants, and I'm touching them 3 to 4 times a day in my practice, right? I'm touching a patient that has implants. And here's the deal. This patient comes to me 2 weeks ago. Never seen them in my life. They show up, number 9, placed like 6 months ago, right? And I've noticed, like, look at the PA, like it looks fantastic, right? We don't know what it looks like, in the CT because I don't have a CT. But all I know is this lady shows up with a temp on, right? Titanium, acrylic, right? Type temp. And what's going on at the mucogingival junction, right? Little pimple, right? Little pimple, right? Not down on the bone, right? But down just like down right there where the implant interface is. Like, what's going on there? And I'm like, it's not my implant. It's not even my restoration, right? But this is the things that we deal with, right? What is going on there, right?
Right.
What is happening here, and how do we treat this, right? And if this implant was a roughened surfaced implant and there is rough surface exposed to bacteria, give me some answers on that, right? I want to know from some people at the AO. I want to know for some companies at the AO, what are we doing to figure this out? Because bone loss is, like, we don't want bone loss. Like, Tomas is all about the zero bone loss concepts, but what if we get it?
Right.
How do we stop it? Right? I'm looking for it, right?
And we just heard, if you start to look at what people are talking about now, and Jomi had a kind of a quick little article about this a couple months ago that, if you are a machine surface implant person from the 80s, and then you're like, well, peri-implantitis didn't really even exist, quote unquote, back then. So is it a rough surface implant problem? Is what we're seeing with peri-implantitis just due to the development of have we given up the long-term success of implants for the short-term, quicker integration of implants?
Oh, son. So wait a minute, John. What you're saying is that prep my crown today mentality, get it today, be done today. Or in some cases, we're hearing that there's FDA-approved implants that you can finish in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Right. Is it speed?
Is this the United States, McDonald's, In-N-Out, get it now and don't care about the future?
Okay,
is
so
that
what's
going on? Because I have a feeling that Sweden would say, yes, that's exactly what's going on. The market is pushing, get it now, get it faster, but 20 years, well, we don't care about that. And I don't know, but I want to hear. See, I'm not an expert. I just know what I'm seeing. Is that some of the old Nobel group not Nobel, but the old, if we look back, right, and we start to talk about the Bronnemark group, there's only a few of them still with us.
That's right.
And I feel like they're getting crotchety. I feel like they're getting, like, upset. And they're like, you people have forgotten about what we did.
Yes.
And, if you've only been out of, say your residency since 2005, all you have seen is rough surface implants. So your acceptance of peri-implantitis, your rate of failure, whatever is, you've accepted that this is just normal. And they would say, well, back in the machined implant times, we didn't see these issues. Now, of course, then you bring in Somebody that comes in to talk about cements and says, well, maybe was it because we were using, the right cement back then? Now we're using the wrong cement. And what is it? Is it implant design? Is it cement? And so these things have sort of kind of festered. And I remember when Wes, when we had this big discussion about this, when we saw two giants on the stage just debate this idea of polished collar, keep the connection above the bone for long-term stability, because we've seen how well tissue level implants have done. And then it's like, well, but if we can get the best possible connection, we can put it subcrestal and feel good. So what I am looking forward to at AO, at the annual meeting, one of the things, among a million things, right, is to have some people up there that we can really press on this. Because are there companies out there that are looking at this? I guarantee it. I guarantee there are companies out there who are going, what can we do with all this information to give people more stability, but still try to prevent the periimplantitis long-term concern? Nobel released some stuff a couple of years ago at the last live AO meeting we had, where it was sort of this idea of trying to move microgap away from bone, but still have some modular connection type of idea with a deep conical connection. It's almost like people are starting to think, Wes, like, let's have if you will, a multi-unit abutment on every implant. Let's take advantage of a deep internal connection for the actual connection, but then let's bring our platform up higher. I don't know. Those of you who are listening to this who are implant nerds understand what we're talking about.
Yeah.
This is something that we've been debating for a long time. And I feel like it's kind of coming to a head of like, where are we going to be going in the next 10 years with our implant design? Is it going to just be, we're just giving up on tissue level? Are we giving up on, is that old school? Is machined tissue level implants, is it over? Is this old school? Are we holding on to something that was just, is old school? Or was there something to the biology?
Yeah, this is exciting times, to be honest with you, because we've had a couple of years away from manufacturers. Reps haven't even been in our offices, right? Yeah. So what have companies been doing, right? With the same issues we've dealt with a couple of years ago, right? When meetings stopped, companies didn't stop thinking about what they're going to market. And also scientists didn't stop thinking about the problems that we've been having, right? The conundrums that we're in. Like we are dealing now with a type of dentist breed of people, right? Let's talk about us, that comes out of school and is driven to start adding things to their repertoire of procedures that they're doing, right? More GPs in the United States right now are putting more implants in than oral surgeons, right? And so what's going on is, as we've moved from oral surgeon dominant in the U.S., which it's been opposite, right, in the world for years.
Yes.
An oral surgeon dominant in the U.S., it's now GP dominant, right? Now, for good or bad, right, we feel like a organization, we don't know if that's good or bad, right? Like right now we could say there's literatures that says that GPs have more problems, right? I'm just going to say it. Right. I'm a GP that places. Right. I've been for a long time. John, you're a GP that places.
Sure.
Right? But there's an organization that we love, right? That people soon forget where really the thinkers are coming together, and they're still coming together, right? They're still coming together. Really, they are. Listen, we talk to these people. We're involved with them, and they know that there's legitimacy surrounding literature, right?
Absolutely.
Science has to really be a part of what is being sold to us. It has to be.
Right. So what we're looking forward to in the next few weeks, right, as we kind of close this out, because there's so much we're going to dive into. I feel like what will happen after this meeting is it's going to launch 1,000 conversations, as it always does.
Oh, yes.
But what we're looking forward to is, after a couple of years of waiting for in-person interaction, discussion, collaboration, disagreement, argument, building forward, is finally we can actually have these discussions. So what we want to hear about is, what has industry been doing? What innovations are going on? What's the science saying? What are we seeing? Hopefully, COVID, if anything, has shown us that we have to think about long term. We have to think about success. Their demand for dentistry is super high because people put things off. But we want to also make sure that what we're doing is going to last. So we're going to take these super, super high level people, and we're going to bring them down to the level that anybody can kind of understand what is the real deal day-to-day clinical practice. What really works, what doesn't, what's the science say, where are we now, and what is industry bringing to the table to meet the demand for where we are? Is faster better, or is old school better, or is there something in the middle? And have we gone too far one direction or too far the other? And this is the thing that we've been talking about for years. And I have a feeling, I just have this feeling that we're going to have some answers. And I think people are more apt to share their opinions now than maybe ever. I mean, Wes, I think people are looking for that because they may not be going to as many meetings yet, but this is, I think, the first. And if you haven't, let me just say this. If you haven't, if you're looking for a meeting, you're like, man, it's been a couple of years.
Yeah.
And I've been stuck. I've been in my bunker. I've been in my panic room. I've done one crown prep in the last 6 months, on a typodont, and I'm ready to get back into dentistry. I mean, or whether you've just been kind of feeling like, and I know I have, sort of like, I'm kind of just in the groove of doing what I have been doing, and I'm ready to take it to the next level. I'm ready to see what's new and what's really going forward going to make sense for me. We believe the Academy of Osseointegration annual meeting in San Diego is the place to be. It's going to set the tone for a lot of what's happening in implant dentistry in the coming year. Things that are talked about there are going to set the tone for a lot of the lectures coming in the coming year and the industry and what's coming from them in the next maybe couple of years. And so if you haven't registered yet, check it out. Go to osteo.org. Get registered. Why haven't you registered yet? It's silly.
Yeah, we have on a good authority here that registration is open.
Yeah, and they're filling up hotels. It's like it's happening. People are not afraid. So
people are not afraid.
It's going to be safe. It's going to be safe.
San Diego's vaccination rate is like 90-some%.
You said 92%.
Yeah,
and they're going to be masked, and there's going to be
all kinds of things. Like, so don't worry.
You can distance yourself. Yeah. You can stand back and yell your opinion.
You can yell it at us,
and we will hear it.
Yeah,
even if it's a few feet away.
Hey, hashtag AO Dental Guys 2022. Right? It's actually AO Dental Guys 22. Let's make it even simpler, right? AO Dental Guys 22. Use the hashtag. Start sharing it, right? Hashtag AO Dental Guys 22. Send us, right? Tweet us, right? Facebook us, right? I'm going to put Facebook back on my phone, John. I've been off for a little bit, but it's time to return. It's time to return for the dental guys. For the dental guys. I
appreciate that.
For the dental guys. So here's the thing, right? We're going to be covering this, right, meeting in a big way, right? We're going to be bringing you live content from the floor. It is going to be like, ESPN game day, right?
Yeah,
the biggest names, the biggest speakers on our show, broadcasted live to YouTube, Facebook, all the channels, right? It's going to be amazing. You're going to be able to communicate with us if you're not there, but we want you to come, right? And here's why. There's no excuse for collaboration, right? For not collaborating, right?
No replacement for that.
There's no replacement, no excuse. There's no replacement, right? And listen, if you don't like Top Gun and
here we go.
Right?
Here we go.
You got
Fighter Weapons School
right.
does happen to be in Miramar near us. And if you want to see a tomcat, we're going to have the reception of the AO on an aircraft carrier.
On an aircraft carrier, man. Like on an aircraft carrier, it's going to be amazing. Listen, I'm super excited about San Diego. There's going to be good coffee, good food. It's going to be a fun time, and it's going to be safe. We guys want to encourage you about that. So listen, stay tuned to the Dental Guys. Over the next month, we're going to actually bring you many live streaming shows. We're going to re-release this on our normal podcast network. Hey, you guys need to look us up on iTunes, right? Spotify. We're all on all that. That's going to be on. This is going to be rebroadcast on there. The Dental Guys, right? Facebook. Follow us on Facebook. Follow us on Twitter. Look for us on YouTube. And like, share, and subscribe the AO channels as well. We're super pumped about this this upcoming meeting where we can discuss what's going to help our patient care be better. Listen, I'm looking at the AO's website right now, and it says a complete patient guide to dental implants. Right now, who wouldn't want that? Right? Science-backed, data-backed. We're excited to meet some of our old friends, have them on the show. Mark Ludlow. Right. Scanners. Right? Scanning implants, right? Maybe get to talk to Craig Mish about bone, right? Right? We might even get the elusive Lyndon Cooper, right? Talk about his new position.
Oh, right? I know. It's going to be big. It's going to be big.
There's so many people. Yeah. John, I could go on. John, close it out.
Subscribed. Get on all the socials. Keep the updates coming from us and AO so you know what's going to be coming. We will be releasing more and more great content to you both before, during, and after the meeting. This is going to be an exciting couple of months. So we're ready. Like, share, subscribe. And for Wes, I'm John, and we are the Dental Guys.